Well, Jiu-Jitsu started thousands of years ago, and that was a self-defense that the samurais used on each other. It didn't behoove them to kick and punch each other because they were always in heavy armor. So what they did is they did grappling techniques where they would throw each other on the ground and they would lock up each other's joints or try to hold each other down and remove the armor. As time went on and Japan became more industrialized, all the old samurai ways started to die out. There was one jiu-jitsu fighter in particular by the name of Jigoro Kano who thought that jiu-jitsu had a lot to offer to his society. It had a lot of character-building qualities. So what he did was he went around unifying all the old jiu-jitsu schools, and he made a new sport of judo. Principally, the techniques are the same, but if you want to be good at judo, you have to be good on your feet. You have to be able to throw your opponent. If you want to be good at jiu-jitsu, you have to have good newaza, or good groundwork. You have to be good at the submissions, the arm locks, and the chokes. But I have to say that the jiu-jitsu guys have really taken the groundwork to a different level than the judo guys. Judo dominated for a long time, and the Jigoro Kano had a lot of students. One of them was a Russian by the name of Sergeyevich, who went to Russia, and he created Russian Sambo, which is another martial art that's principally based on the same techniques as judo, another form of grappling. And another one was a guy named Miyotsu Maeda. And what he did was he first went to Washington and taught Teddy Roosevelt judo with an entourage of Japanese guys. And then he traveled south to Mexico, where he became a professional wrestler. He went from Mexico to Cuba, opened judo clubs in Cuba, and then he went to Brazil. And when he got to Brazil, he started fighting for money in what the Brazilians call vale tudos, which were these no-holds-barred competitions where you just get in, you could do whatever you want, kick, punch, bite, whatever you want. And he was a champion of that. But when Jigoro Kano found out that he was fighting for money, he cut him off. And that's when a lot of us think that he started calling his form of judo jiu-jitsu. It was then that he hooked up with the Gracie family, a guy named Carlos Gracie, who had helped him. He was an illegal immigrant at first, and Carlos Gracie helped him get papers to stay in Brazil. And after that, he started teaching his family then jiu-jitsu for free. And the Gracies embraced it, and they took it on to another level. It was then that they started incorporating their own type of groundwork. And they specifically geared that type of jiu-jitsu for the vale tudo, for one-on-one, no-holds-barred combat. So I'm going to do a right shoulder throw from a left-handed grip. I already have my hand on his left lapel. I take my right hand, shoot it through, and drop on knees. Then I roll him off my shoulder, like so, and I just stand back up, grab his lapel, and sit back down. It's important that his thumb points up towards the ceiling because that's the correct way to lock out his arm. So you have to break his arm with his thumb pointing towards the ceiling. If his thumb is pointing anyplace else, I can't break his arm. What I'm demonstrating here is kataguruma, it means shoulder wheel. When someone's holding me out really hard and I can't get in, what I do is I drop down, putting my right hand in between his legs and his belt right by my head, like so. I sit down. What I'm demonstrating here is shoulder wheel or kataguruma. When the guy's holding me out like this, I can't make an entry on any of my throws. So what I do is I just take my right hand and I reach down in between his legs. I grab his thigh, put his belt by my head, like so, and I just sit down on top of his foot. Ogoshi means big hip throw. It has a great deal of self-defense application. What I do is I grab his right sleeve like this, but I don't need to have to grab a jacket at all. I just put my hand on his arm like so. And I take my left hand and I reach in tight like I'm giving him a hug. And what I would do is I want to throw my hips across the top of his thigh. So I'm here, hug him, thumb across my hip, and it also extends this arm here, so I have an arm lock. Just step over his head, grab his lapel, and sit back into Jujigatami. What I'm demonstrating here is Ogoshi. I grab his sleeve with my right hand, I take my left hand and reach behind him like I'm giving him a hug. What I want to do is throw my hips across his upper thigh like so. So I'm here, reach behind, throw my hips across his hip. I grab his sleeve with my right hand, I take my left hand, pull him in tight like I'm giving him a hug. And what I'm going to do is throw my hips right across his upper thigh, like so. This extends his arm so I could do my Jujigatami. Step over his head, I grab his lapel, and I sit back. And I squeeze my knees together, and I make sure that his thumb is pointing towards the ceiling. Now I'm going to do Yoko Sotimi Waza. I grab his sleeve with my left hand, it's a cross grip like so. Take my right hand, I put it on top of his jacket, and I stick my thumb under his collar, and then I tuck my head through, like so. And then I just sit down on top of his foot and crease his throw like this. I'm demonstrating Yoko Sotimi Waza, and what I'm doing is I'm grabbing his sleeve in a cross grip with my left hand, I reach over with my right, and I grab his collar, and then what I do is I shoot my head through his armpit, and then I sit down to create the throw. Now I'm going to do Yoko Tomonagi. That's when someone is holding me out really hard, and he's bent over in the hips like that, and what I do is I step in, put my right foot on his hip, and I take a hop, I sit down, I throw. I'm going to do Yoko Tomonagi. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my right foot in his hip like so, just like so, and then I'm going to hop in with my other foot and sit down to create the Yoko Tomo. Now I'm going to do Yoko Tomonagi into Ashi Sangaku Gatami. First of all, I grab him with my left-handed grip. He's probably going to hold me out quite a bit. I put my right foot in his hip and I sit down. The throw didn't work. He bailed on into his stomach, so I put my left hand on his shoulder. I throw my left leg over his shoulder, come back, and I grab his collar, and I start to wind up his arm to create the arm lock. Ashi Sangaku Gatami. What I'm going to do is Yoko Tomonagi into Ashi Sangaku Gatami. What I do is I grab with a left-handed grip. He starts to hold me out. I put my right foot on his belt or on his hip. I take a hop in and sit. I miss the throw. He bails out onto his stomach, but I take my left hand. I grab either his elbow or his shoulder, and I start to put this foot over his shoulder like so. Then I come back with my left hand after I've secured the arm, and I grab his collar, and I put my elbow in his back so he can't sit up on me. I start to wind him up. This locks up his shoulder right here. See? Locks up his shoulder right here while I'm doing it with my leg, like so. What I'm going to do here is Sumi Gaishi into the Teshio Gatami. I grab left, he grabs right, he's holding me out. What I do is I take my right hand, I weave it through his arm, and I grab the back of his shoulder like so. I pull him down, I grab his belt like so, put my left foot on the inside, take a hop in, and sit down. He comes over, I come over with him, and I'm in the Teshio Gatami, like so. If I want to do an arm lock, I have the coiled arm bar right here. What I'm going to do now is Sumi Gaishi into the hold down to Teshio Gatami, or what the Jiu-Jitsu guys call the mounted position. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold left, he's going to hold right, just like that. I'm going to take my right hand, weave it underneath his shoulder like so, pull him down, grab his belt, put my left foot inside, and then sit down. Hopefully I've generated enough momentum to come over into the Teshio Gatami. If I want to create an arm lock, I reach back, I grab his wrist like so, grab my own wrist, and just pull it this straight down to create the coiled arm bar. What I'm going to demonstrate is the Soto Gari. What I do is I take my left hand on his lapel like so. I take my right hand, put it on his sleeve. I plant all this weight on his back foot. I do the reap, and I fall down on top of him to do the Case Gatami. Now I got a good hold down, but if I want to create an arm lock, I come back, I grab his wrist, I pinch it in my knee, and I put my hips forward to create the arm lock. What I'm doing is I'm pushing down against his elbow. What I'm doing is I'm bending this elbow the opposite way that it's supposed to bend. See, I push down to the elbow lock, push down, put my hips forward. What I'm doing is the Soto Gari. What I'm doing is I'm grabbing his left lapel with my left hand, take my right hand and I put it on his sleeve like so. I take my thumb and I push it down over his right foot, and I take a deep step in with my right foot, and I reap. He hits the ground. What I want to do is fall on top of him and hold him tight. Now I've got the hold down, but if I want to create the arm lock, I come back and I grab his wrist like so, and I pinch it in my elbow, into my knee joint rather, and I put my hips forward to create the arm lock. Judo and Jiu-Jitsu have a lot of self-defense application also. In addition to being a sport, you can use it for different scenarios that you might encounter if someone's in a street fight or if you're in a street fight. In this particular one, he's going to come up behind me and grab me in a bear hug, maybe to drag me off, maybe to try to drag me to the ground. And what I do is I put one hand on top of his wrist, and I take my other hand and I grab my own wrist. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slightly step out to the left and swing around on my left foot, like so, and I create the arm lock just like this. He has me in the bear hug. I take my right hand, I grab his wrist. I take my left hand, I weave it underneath his arm. I step out a little bit to the left and pivot on my left foot, turn around to create the arm lock. I'm pushing his elbow against its natural bend like so, just by turning my body this way. See? He has me in the bear hug. I take my right hand, I grab his wrist. I take my left hand, I weave it underneath his arm. I step out a little bit to the left and pivot on my left foot, turn around to create the arm lock. Here I'm going to do a rolling leg lock as a self-defense move from the bear hug. He bear hugged me. I control his hands here. I take a big step backwards. Then what I do is I put one hand on the floor, and I come back and I grab his leg like so, duck underneath him, push him forward, and sit up to create the leg lock. I could also come back and create an ankle lock this way. What I'm doing here is I'm doing a leg lock as a self-defense move against a rear bear hug. Matt comes up behind me, puts me in a bear hug. I push down his hands. I take a deep step back. I take my left hand, I put it on the ground. I take my right hand, grab his leg. I shoot underneath him like so. Come in, create the leg lock like so. What I'm doing is I'm pulling his leg back against its natural bend. I'm going to dislocate the knee. In this particular technique, I'm going to be using a soto gai when someone comes up behind me and grabs me and puts me into what we call a naked stranglehold. Matt comes up behind me. What I do is I leave pressure from my neck by coming and grabbing his arm like so. Then I look to the same direction as his elbow joint. I put this leg over him, and I start to hop into him. And I create the soto gai. What I'm going to do is a soto gai as a means of self-defense against the naked stranglehold. Matt comes up behind me, puts me in the naked stranglehold. First thing I do is put my hands over his elbow and his forearm to create some breathing space. I look down in the same direction as his elbow is pointing so he doesn't choke me. I put my left leg up over his leg, and I start to hop into him. And I skip back into him. I fall right on top of him. If I want, I could come back in the case to get you on me this way and do the arm lock I showed you earlier. This time I'm going to use Yoko Garuma as a means of self-defense against a headlock. Matt puts me in a headlock like so. I can't get up, I can't escape. I take both my hands, I wrap them around his wrist like so, his hips like this. And I take my left foot and I throw it on the inside of his and I sit down. Come all the way on table. I have to do like so. Now I want to create an arm lock. Put his hands out like so. I throw this leg over, weave this one underneath. This one comes over his face. Pop up like this. And now I have an arm lock right here. Step over and sit down. Okay, in this particular technique, Kevin holds Matt out really hard. Matt sees the extended arm and he decides he's going to lock it up. So what he does is he jumps up into the air, throws both his legs over Kevin, locks up his head, throws Kevin to the side, and then sits back to create the Juji-Gatame. He keeps his thumb pointing up towards the ceiling, because if he doesn't, then the joint won't lock out in a correct manner. The thumb has to be pointing towards the ceiling. Against a Morote Gari, Matt swings on Kevin. Kevin ducks, grabs him behind the legs, and he can easily throw him to the ground by pushing his body against his head. Here, we see more self-defense application from the double leg takedown. Matt swings at Kevin. Kevin ducks, grabs both his legs behind the knees, and picks him up on his shoulder. You can easily slam him to the ground by pushing with his head. I'm demonstrating left uchimata. Uchimata means inside leg reap. First thing is, I grab his lapel like so. It's going to give me a lot of upward pressure. Then I grab his sleeve, and I use this back sleeve, this thumb here, to plant his back foot into the ground. And then I lean him like this, so that his weight is going to my right. Then I step in with my left leg, and I lift. What I think the Brazilians demonstrated is that if you're going to be a good fighter, you have to learn grappling. You have to know how to be able to take a guy down quickly and effectively, and you have to be able to finish him.